Hey guys, and welcome back. I just wanted to say I hope you guys are doing well, and a couple things coming up. I'm going to be doing the Birchbark House today, and try to keep going on the stuff we already have online. Reminder: some of the stuff's like your writing of your autobiography is meant to take a couple weeks. So get started on that. Work on a little bit every day, and you'll have it done in a couple weeks. As we got another writing in about 3 weeks that we're going to have you doing. So, with that being said, I'm going to be reading The Birchbark House for you today by Louise Erdrich and illustrated by S.D. Nelson. Okay? Omachias is returning home from an errand. She carries scissors for her mother and a lump of sweet maple candy for herself. Both the scissors and candy are rare and valued items in her Ojibwa village in 1847. She is not eager to return home to the chore of tanning a moose hide and to her older sister, Angeline, who made fun of her earlier in the day. Her feelings are hurt, but she wants nothing but to be respected by Angeline. Before she went back on the trail, Omachias rinsed off the old candy lump in the lake. It came out beautifully, creamy gold, translucent, and grainy dark, and sweet. She started walking, her treasure now wrapped in a leaf. As she walked, Omachias thought, there's no way to share such a tough nut of sweetness. How would she divide it? Omachias decided she would not want to cause trouble at home. Furthermore, it suddenly made sense to her that at least one person in the family should get the full effect of the maple sugar. She would pop the whole thing into her mouth all at once. This would save problems. The lump was delicious, tasting of spring sweetness and the inside of trees. Besides, Omachias reasoned, as she walked contentedly along, the taste of the sugar would save her from eating every one of the berries, and she was sure she would find on the path. She would find on the path. Omachias' feet moved slower and even slower yet. For one thing, the moose hide waited. For another, she was still angry with her older sister and didn't want to see Angeline. She could still feel that sister foot pressing hatefully on her back. If only there was some way to impress Angeline, cause her envy, make her say, "Can I have some of those berries? Please, please, please." You can be sure Omachias thought, her face taking a faraway, haughty expression. She would be slow in answering. Yet, the worst of this was, her sister was usually on her side, helping her plan tricks on the other children in the village, or gathering new ferns, or snaring rabbits, visiting the grave houses looking for sugar or food left for the spirits, tossing off her clothes to swim with her, and to have her oldest sister laugh at her hurt Omachias so much inside that she both wanted Angeline to smile in surprise, to be proud, to envy her, and to feel rotten or to be sorry forever. So Omachias took the slow way back, looking for odamin, little red heartberries, in the sun margins of the woods near the ground. She carefully removed the hard lump of sweetness from her mouth, stuck it back into its leaf just inside the pocket of her dress. Just as a taste of maple sugar faded along her tongue, she bent over, pushed back the delicate leaves, and found masses of plump little berries. 1, 2, 3. She had eaten a huge handful. Another. She grinned, thinking that she'd allow her sister to return with her to plunder them. But only if Angeline changed her ways. All of a sudden, a rustle and then a thump in the bush ahead made Omachias freeze. A long moment passed as she stared through the dark leaves. Suddenly, crash! 2 bear cubs burst from the bush and rushed pell-mell, tumbling head over heels straight for her. They came in such a hurry that they didn't even see Omachias until they were nearly in her lap. And then, with comical looks of shock, they tried to stop themselves. One flew flat on his face, bumped its nose, and squealing. The other twisted in midair and landed in a heap on the ground, shaking its head in confusion at Omachias. The bears looked at her. Slowly, she put her open hand out, filled with heartberries. Curious, the cubs jumped forward, lost their nerve. They scampered backward and then crept forward shyly again. The smaller cub seemed slightly bolder and sniffed at Omakaya's hand. The bear cub took one berry, then jumped away in seeming fright at its own bold act. But the taste of the berry seemed to banish fear. The two now tumbled at her, growling mock ferocious. Their long pink tongues touched up every berry from their hands, eagerly flicking them from her fingers as fast as she could pick. They seemed to like the game. They could have gone out for hours, that is, until she stood upright. Then they tumbled backward in alarm. Their chubby bottoms rolled them over like playing balls, and she laughed out loud. She realized they had thought Omakayas was their own size. Then they were astonished the same way Omakayas had been the first time she saw the traitor Kadot unfold a seeing glass, something he called a telescope, a long shiny tube that grew in his hands. She bent down again. "Anin, little brothers," she said to them kindly, and they came forward. She looked around. No mother bear. Omakayas was well aware that she shouldn't stay so close to these cubs, but after all, they seemed deserted. She looked around again. They were orphans. Perhaps the mother bear's skin was now draped across old Tallow's bed, although she hadn't heard about any recent kill. But still, no mother bear in sight, and these little ones so hungry. Wouldn't her big sister be thrilled when Omakayas returned with these two new brothers? Eagerly, Omakayas began to plan out her triumphant walk back to the house. She would enter the little clearing with the cubs, one at her heels and one before her. Everyone would make way, impressed. She would lead the bear cubs around the fire 4 times before she presented one of them to Angeline, who would look at her with new respect. There was no warning. One moment Omakayas was wiggling a leafy stick, making it move on the ground so the cubs would jump on it, biting fiercely. The next moment she found herself flipped over on her back, pinned underneath a huge, powerful, heavy thing that sent down a horrible stink. It was the sow bear, the mother, breathing on her stale breath of decaying old deer hides and skunk cabbage and dead mushrooms. Wah! The surprising thing was, Omakayas realized later that although she had no memory of doing so, she had the scissors out of their case and open, the sharp ends pointing at the bear's heart. But she didn't use them as a knife. She knew for certain that she shouldn't move if the bear began to bite and claw. She would have to plunge the tip of the scissors straight in between the bear's strong ribs, use all of her strength, sink the blade all the way in the rounded hilt, and then jump clear if she could. While the bear went through its death agony, if she couldn't get clear, Omakayas knew she would have to roll up in a ball and endure the bear's fury. She would probably be clawed from head to foot, bitten to pieces scattered all over the ground. Until the mother bear made the first move, Omakayas knew she should stay still, or as still as possible, given the terrifying jumping of her heart. For long moments, the bear tested her with every sense, staring down with her weak eyes, listening, and most of all, smelling her. The bear smelled the morning moose stew Omakayas had eaten, the wild onion season, the dusty bit of maple sugar from old tallow stuck to the inside of her pocket. How she hoped the bear did not smell the bear-killing dogs or the bear claw that swung on the silver hoop from old Tallow's earlobe. Perhaps the bear smelled the kind touch of Grandma and Mama's bone and spruce wood comb, her baby brother's cuddling body, the skin and mats that she had slept in, and little Pinch, who had whined and sobbed the night before. The bear smelled on Omakayas' skin the smell of its own cousin bear, grease used to ward off mosquitoes, fish from the night before last night, the berries she was eating. The bear smelled all. Omakayas couldn't help but smell her back. Bears eat anything, and this one had just eaten something ancient and foul. Hein! Omakayas took shallow breaths. Perhaps it was to take her mind off the scent of dead things on the bear's breath that she accidentally closed the scissors, shearing off a tiny clip of bear fur. and then, to cover her horror at this mistake, started to talk. "Nokomis," she said to the bear, calling her grandmother. "I didn't mean any harm. I was only playing with your children." "Gawan on Jada. Please forgive me," the bear cuffed at Omachias, but in a warning manner, not savagely to hurt. Then the bear leaned back, nose working, as though she could scent the meaning of the human words. Encouraged, Omachias continued. "I fed them some berries. I wanted to bring them home, to adopt them, have them live with me at the house as my little brothers. But now that you're here, grandmother, I will leave quietly. These scissors in my hands are not for killing, just for sewing. They are nothing compared to your sharp teeth and claws." And indeed, Omachias' voice trembled slightly as the bear made a gurgling sound deep in her throat and bared her long, curved, yellowish teeth. So good at ripping and tearing, but having totaled up all of the smells and sifted them for information, the bear seemed to have decided that Omachias was no threat. She sat back on her haunches like a huge dog, swinging her head around. She gave a short, quick slap at one of the cubs, and that sent it reeling away from Omachias. It was as though she were telling them that they had done wrong to approach this human animal and should now stay away from her. Omachias' heart squeezed painfully. Even though it was clear her life was to be spared, she felt the loss of her new brothers. "It wouldn't hurt. I wouldn't even hurt them," she said again. The little cubs piled against her mother, clinging to her. For a long moment, the great bear sat calmly with them, decided where to go. Then, in no hurry, they rose in one piece of dark fur. The one bear boy broke away, tried to get near Omachias, the other looking longingly at her. But the big bear mother abruptly nosed them down the trail. So look into the main idea. So who are our main characters? Remember, main characters don't necessarily need to be human. What were their problems they faced that they had to deal with? What was our setting, guys? So remember those things. And what was our main idea? Those are the questions you're going to be answering from this text. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.